So the book is essentially a romantic comedy told in reverse. It's a love story, which I love reading, but I've never actually written before. And I was not thinking that I was going to write a love story, but that's the way that sometimes these things go. It's based on an idea that my wife essentially came to me with when we first started dating about 3 or 4 years ago in London, and we've been kind of batting back and forth between each other ever since. And it's around that concept of long-term relationships and what happens when you break up with someone after being together with them for a really long time, and what happens to all of your stuff. So Ellie is a Mancunian. She is very tall. She's over 6 foot tall, a good foot taller than her eventual husband, Enzo. She moves down to London to work at an interior design firm, and she famously only wears black. She's maybe my favorite character that I've ever written. I've never written from the perspective entirely of a woman before, and I found that really challenging, but also really rewarding. Ellie is a very unique character. She listens to a lot of heavy metal music. She comes from quite a chaotic background. Her father is a well-to-do GP, and her mother is a former model who became an alcoholic after a twisted turn to her fate. She was a really great character to write. Enzo's a Neapolitan. He's from Naples in Italy, and he moves to London after university, where he starts working as a financial services journalist. Enzo is perhaps most famous for being a real lover of grime music. He's actually a grime tragic. He learns about it as he's learning to speak English properly and really kind of takes over his life. He meets Ellie at a Klaxon show, which is a new rave band in the mid-2000s, and he instantly falls in love with her despite her being significantly taller than him and, as he says, significantly smarter than him as well. Enzo is a very boisterous Epicurean type character, but he's hiding a few demons of his own, which we'll see throughout the book. In terms of authors that I'd aspire to sit alongside, I can't really go past the two Nicks. The first being Nick Hornby, who was a really formative influence on me when I was growing up. I thought Nick had an incredible way with language, but also he wrote romance in particular from a male perspective that I just thought really wasn't being done at the time. The other being Australia's Nick Earls, who I didn't realise had such a lasting impact on me until I started talking about this book with other people, and his name kept coming up, and I remembered how I just devoured 48 Shades of Brown when I was a teenager, and then pretty much went through Nick's entire back catalogue, as it were. So it would definitely be the two of them. I think also you can't not mention Sally Rooney. I think it's obviously been mentioned quite a few times by many authors, but she just did dialogue in a way that represented the millennial romantic experience that nobody else did. I remember watching Normal People during lockdown and it having just a profound effect on me. So I'd like to aspire to sit next to Sally Rooney. And finally, I think you can't really ignore the influence of David Nichols. He's just done such amazing things for the genre, and the way he writes is so beautiful. So I'd love to sit alongside him too. Best way to get over someone is to move countries. I can say that because I did it, and that's how I met my eventual wife. If you can't do that, follow the advice of Ellie in this book and try and sell everything that reminds you of them, preferably on Facebook Marketplace, so you can meet some new people and maybe have different stories to tell.